Sure.
Because when you put an expectation on something, you then allow your brain to start predicting the outcome of it. So then you're not in your heart space to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You're then putting pressure on yourself. And if it then doesn't turn out, then in your head, it was a bad date, it was a bad relationship, it was a bad job choice, it was, a bad encounter. When actually, if you stayed in your heart space, you got everything out of it that you were meant to.
Yeah.
And you actually enjoyed the process, the good and the bad bits of it.
I think, this is where you're my master. I think, because I grew up in the theatre, which is all about preparing for the performance.
I'd have never made an actress, would I?
You never?
Lines? What lines?
Oh, God. And it was all about preparing and rehearsing, and then, put your face on, and then you go out and you have to deliver your lines. And I was in West End shows and, and all of that. And it was all of that thing. And it becomes, unfortunately, it leaches into your life. But the wonderful thing about it is that once I've noticed it, I now know it, and it's a point of hilarity for me. But I notice how other people don't notice it. And because of the internet, and because of Facebook, and because of all that stuff, everybody's become a performer. So everybody's trying to say something in a short amount of time, and then you get all these, comments, oh, well done, babes, and all that sort of stuff. Oh, blimey. And it's all a false god. It's a false god. It's okay.
It's feeding an ego to make you feel,
Yeah, and it's all right, all that stuff, but don't take it seriously. It's just communication, and it's fine. But the ability to laugh at oneself, I think, is the most liberating thing. To realize that you're the source of the greatest hilarity, or rather I am. Because I just watch myself walk around during the day and I think, how do I do it? It's like I'm like a walking doll, and I go from one room to another. I don't actually know how I'm doing it, and I just arrive in this room and I'm
I sometimes shouldn't confess this, but driving, I'll go, how did I even get there? I'm in my own world majority of the time. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not even sure how it happened. My mum's always said to me, you live in your own world, but I always say my world is beautiful. My world is love.
Yes.
So I would rather be in that. I'm present in it.
Right.
But it's not filled with the negativity of everything else.
Yeah.
So I can set my own vibration in it.
Right.
If people wish to step in and join, they're more than welcome.
Right.
But to step out of it sometimes and be around the energies of other people, like supermarkets and stuff like that. I feel sometimes that I stand in it and I send out like a tidal wave of love, just so that I can shop.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. So to getting the how do I do something, to releasing that, and how and then, I was stopped the other day by some women who said, "Oh, please stop doing that, my dear." And I had my supermarket trolley, and I was going down an aisle, and I thought, oh, I know what I'm going to do. And I just launched myself on my supermarket trolley down the aisle like a complete child. And those two ladies at the end said, oh, please stop doing that, dear. And it was, I was kind of reliving my mother and my aunties when I was a little boy, and I was thinking, it's a full-grown man.
But it's your inner child. Your inner child is always going to be there, isn't it? That's what gives you the zest for life, isn't it?
It's true.
And why is it people think that you become of an age and you should be mature?
I know. What is that?
I know. My mum used to say to me, when are you going to grow up? And you say, with my children. And then she said to me, but your children have grown up. So now I use the grandchildren as an excuse.
I'll do it then.
They'll probably go past me as well. But that's the fun of it, and it's doing the childish little things.
It's true.
We say this. We do some really stupid childish things. And anyone else looking in will go, what the hell? But if it makes you laugh, and I think if you've got to have that about you, you can't be serious.
No.
You've got to.
No, that's right.
You've got to go through life enjoying it and finding the little pleasures.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how small they are. If that brings inspiration and a smile to your face. That's a vibration. So you're just upping it and staying in that form.
Absolutely true, and that's where we meet the angels. That's where we meet the higher energies. People talk about the angels and the higher energies and all of that, and it comes through, in a sense, for me. This is my take of it. I don't know what yours is, but it comes in. There's an expression that says, the angels are the same as us. They just take themselves lightly. That's why they fly. And the lighter that I am, the more hilarious things are, the more miraculous are the encounters with what I might call higher energies or rarer energies. And they're there all the time, of course, but we're so serious and so heavy, and those ladies I was talking about in the supermarket who were, beside themselves with horror, the full-grown man throwing himself on a trolley down the central aisle. I laughed my head off, and I didn't mean to put them down. I apologize if they're watching now, but it was an outplay of when I was a little boy. It was like I was outplaying it again, and the levity that came from it was gorgeous. It's gorgeous and it's liberating, and that I can play wherever I want to play. I don't have to be serious.
It's a freedom.
It is a freedom, and we are the ones who grant it to ourselves, or we take this, the controllers of our worlds want us to take this very seriously. And then you say, well, the time of your death is written, not the how but the when. Well, if that is the case, then while you're here, why have a miserable time? Yeah. Why not have if it's a brief life, which it kind of is, well, why not have your best time? Is there anything wrong? What's wrong with that? You go into a church or a synagogue, it's very serious. It's very serious. And you think, well, why is God that serious?
It's controlling.
It's controlling. And it's all, spirituality is a serious thing, and it's not.
No, because it's a self journey. And it's only when it's, but like we were saying earlier on, if it's being portrayed in a different way, there's no rules for it. The rules are within ourselves.
Yes.
It's what we create, what we want to achieve, what we want to do. Right. And if you really want to set for me, like I was saying, the boundaries of, like, for me, for other people, what I will and won't allow, but as for my boundaries for myself, I don't want them, because I want to grab everything that's offered with both hands.
Beautiful.
I vowed that this year every stone I was offered was not going to be left unturned. Wow. Whatever avenue it takes me down, the outcome of it will be for my soul's higher purpose, and that's all I want.
Yes.
Because to me, it's, this year I'm calling Team Humanity. So it's about flooding unconditional love wherever I go, and hoping that just ignites like somebody else to do the same. So it's a bit like doing the conga around the world. Conga of unconditional love.
When I was a little boy, he brought up an image as you were just talking there. When I was a little boy, there was a thing they used to have. We used to go to these hotels because my dad was touring, and they used to bring around the dessert trolley. Did you ever remember those things? And there was puddings, there was jellies, there was ice cream, there was cake, and they would say, "What do you want, David?" I want everything. I want to eat everything. I said, "You can't have everything. You've got to make a choice." I was like, "Oh no!" And I feel that about life, actually. It's so rich, and so and there are so many cultures with so many different interpretations of divinity, of life, of love. And all of them are incredibly interesting and wonderful. And for me to elevate myself above any of that is foolish.
Do you think, though, each incarnation you've had, you wouldn't have come back as the person you are now?
Absolutely.
So you would have been a female. You would have come from all different walks of life, so, across this whole planet. So, I always think when you're reincarnated, you have like certain hereditary things that come through personalities and things like that. But when I think of like your dietary requirements and stuff like that, you think when you come into this world and you've got dairy allergies and nut allergies and things like that, now they might necessarily have come from your bloodline that you've just come into, but where did you reincarnate from last time? So if you were living in India last time, most of their foods would be different to what you are now, and you're trying to flood your body with. So if you've come from another part of the world where you were rice, beans, and stuff like that, didn't eat meats, didn't have dairy products, then you've been reincarnated into, you know, this one here, and all of a sudden there you are trying to flood your body with all these things that it's your soul's not used to. It's that your things like that will come through. It's not just your personality traits.
No.
It's all of those things.
Absolutely.
So it's very like very blindsided to think that we don't. It's energy at the end of the day. So you know, if we bring through things like that, you take if somebody has a heart transplant, or a kidney transplant.
Oh my God!
The energy within the person that's come from will be transferred into you. And some people really struggle when they've had something like that. They start having flashbacks and they start having visions and stuff and callings to do something they've never done before. Because that energy is held within that body part. So it's no different to like when we're eating. I mean, I'm not saying everyone should go vegan, vegetarian, not at all, because it's a personal journey. But like for me, when I gave up meat, I realised that I would stop taking in on that energy from that animal, which was huge for me. It was like a big blockage for me, and I was like feeling really heavy every time and quite emotional and all of that. So that was another like a huge realization for me for the energy transfer within people, and within like foods as well. And you think everything we put into our body holds an energy. And like whenever I've run my courses, I've always said to people, and I don't, like my last one was like spiritual awakening, so it was just a general for people to be cleansed, ready for whatever their journey evoked. And I said the importance of putting what you put in and how you put it in. So like if you make your meal and you're feeling a bit peeved off, you've had an argument with someone or you're not happy, you're bashing that fruit and veg up or your dinner up with the vibration you're putting in that, and then you're putting that through your body.
Please enjoy the food.
So you've let go of that argument, but it's still within that energy form.
My grandmother used to do that. She was like, you got a big argument, and then she'd make the food, and she'd please eat, and you'd feel like it stick here.
Yes.
It was horrible.
Well, I always say you chop it and you take the time and you enjoy that process. Lovingly prepare that meal. As you eat that vibration's going through you.
Totally, and that's what the lovely thing about blessing food, or or eating it with love. You know, to feel that I do like a chocolate meditation with students, and it's such a lovely thing. We just take one piece of chocolate. We just take one, not a whole bar, one, and just smell it, bring it slowly to your mouth, put it on your tongue. Don't move the tongue, just draw the tongue into the mouth, and watch what the body does. And the body it's like a cat looking at a mouse. It's looking at this piece of chocolate. You forget about all your problems, all your history. You can't remember your name. All you're focused on is your body focused on the piece of chocolate on your tongue. I want that. And then I say, well, okay, in a moment I'm going to allow you, give you permission to allow your tongue to move and for you to eat that chocolate. But you have to slow the process down. And people are tripping out. They're like, this is the biggest, most gorgeous thing that's happening inside of my mouth. It's like a sort of mouthgasm, and I said, it's just one piece of chocolate. It's one tiny bit of chocolate. Because you slowed it down, you get the max, and it's
like when you start a baby weaning, isn't it? You give them food for the very first time.
Right.
The facial expressions and and their body expressions. It can twitch and it can the excitement
and you get it as well.
Yeah, because you're like, oh. So, and you think that you forget what that was like as an adult, don't you? Unless you have something you've never had before. And then that can come with a fear. Do you try it? Do you not? Because you've not tried it before.
Yeah, that's right. When I see people, they're on the computer and they're eating in a coffee shop. It's like, well, what you're doing, you're missing two things.
Yeah.
You're missing both. You know,
You're
if
in
you
for
really,
the sake of it.
yeah, and if you just stopped, because this for me is my idea, it's my concept of consciousness. I'm not pushing it on anybody else. But if I just stop with the computer, if I stop with the laptop, and I just smell the coffee, look at the food, you know, and that food's going to become more you. It's going to give you energy, and just enjoy that. And things then happen, and it's really. The other day actually, I was at there's a cafe around the corner, and I just wanted. I like the mocha, so this woman made a lovely mocha for me, and I had a sandwich, a cheese sandwich, and she made a beautiful cheese sandwich for me, and I just sat and I just looked at it and smelled it. I was sitting in the sunshine. It was a very, very lovely moment. And I started to eat it very slowly. I was just really enjoying the slowness of it, the flavor of it, being in a nice place. And then she came out and she says, "Oh, you've got a lot of tattoos." I said, "Yes, I do." And she went, "What do they mean?" I said, "Well, they don't really mean anything, but they're memories of my life, of where I've been." And suddenly there's this conversation. She told me where she's from Taiwan, and she runs this cafe. And she told me about her life and the adventures she went through to get to England, and now she runs this cafe, and she started trading some philosophy with me. And it just happened because I slowed it down. Just a lovely thing, you know. It's not a big thing. It's not going to change the course of the planet.
No, but if you had been on your laptop or
Right.
in your phone, she wouldn't have approached you because you weren't approachable.
Yes. So how much do we miss
So
of
much,
life?
yeah. It's just to sit and I'm a big people watcher. I love it. But if you used to sit there and just take time out, I can remember years and years ago being in Paris, and I was about 19, and just sitting in a corner cafe and just watching.
Wow.
I'd never seen anything so beautiful.
Wow.
Just seeing the coming
yeah,
and
yeah.
going, the exchange, and the fact that I couldn't grasp all the conversations. For me, it was about body language, interaction,
Right.
and it was beautiful to watch
That's right.
and just to absorb.
Yes, yes. The theatre of life. Pay big attention to small things and small attention to big things. I think that's a lovely. So wherever you are can become a holiday, a holy day. You know, you give yourself a break. You don't need to go anywhere. You know, I notice that people, you know, when it's a sunny day like today, they start making sandwiches and they pack the car and they get the family in the car and then they sit there for hours in traffic jams, and all you need to do is just, you know, go out and enjoy it and sit wherever you are. Wherever you are so they say wherever you are is a place to be, give up the struggle. Give up the struggle. So wherever you are is a place you need to be, and it's that simple. But somehow we build our lives on these complex. I need to be in Mexico. I need to be. I want to go to the Pacific Islands. You know, I do actually. I've never been. But do I really want? I mean, if I go through this whole lifetime and I never get there.
You can astro travel there.
Okay. Exactly.
Cheaper.
Yeah, a lot cheaper.
Don't need a passport.
It's true. It's true.
No queues.
None at all. But you know, wherever you are is beautiful, and not to undermine that. And then I think spirituality is a consequence, or if you like spirituality, but advanced states of ourselves consequentially happens as a result of saying yes to now, wherever it is. And that's lovely. And if there's something to clean up, if you need to apologize, then apologize.
Yeah, why is it people struggle to say sorry?
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's ego. It's position. Look what they did, and they did this, and they did that, and okay. And it's gone. It's finished. It's over. It's a new day. It's, you know, I had some altercation a few days ago with somebody. It's like, it's over now. So,
Do you know, I had something very interesting you saying that. I've always been the first to apologise.
Yeah.
I'd even apologise if I'm not in the wrong.
right.
But then I had a really beautiful conversation with my friend. She said, "What are you apologising for?"
Oh.
And she said to me, don't say sorry. Say, if you're running late, say thank you so much for waiting for me.
That's beautiful.
So instead of apologising, work a way around it for something else. So obviously, if you're in the wrong about something, I'm sorry, I got to explain it. Yeah. But on the aspects of like, oh, I was running late or something, thank you very much for waiting for me.
Right.
It is in a higher vibration.
It really is.
And it's then there's not that blame or fault.
No.
It's just appreciation.
That's right. No, that's lovely. That's lovely. And I think to always create more height in our conversations or our interactions with others, to create heaven on earth.
Yeah, take the time, isn't it? Yeah. Take the time to enjoy. Because I find this, it's like you spend so long on your phone looking up stuff or sitting in front. I mean, we've said you'll sit in front of a film, 2 hours later you get to the end of it and you're like, what was the point of that? And then you think, you just wasted 2 hours of your time. You can't get that back.
No.
So, turn it off and enjoy an interactive conversation.
Yeah.
While you're interacting with the screen, you're not being present within your time.
Absolutely.
It has its time and its place.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there on your own, no one to interact with, it's a good form of interaction with the world. And if you're doing something like we are now to get something out there for other people, but to actually be in a group of people, you see it when you're out. I mean, nothing like to me. You go out and have dinner, and you look round, and you're like, everyone's on their phone. You're like, no one's talking.
No.
It's like heartbreaking that there's no conversations going on, and it's just everything.
Do you think there's a fear of being
missing out?
Yeah, no. It may be that actually. I think you're right, but there's a fear about being only in the present time. Like, what about the other states? What about the other realities that are going on, like the internet, my friends, and which are other realities, other states? And I'm terrified about only being in this reality. And I notice for myself, when I give up those realities and I'm just where I am, it's incredible.
Well, because your soul becomes aligned, doesn't it, with whatever it's doing.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing. And I can't explain it to anybody else, really. Well, I can. But it sounds like I'm bordering upon buffoonery. It's like, well, why wouldn't you want to go to the internet? Why wouldn't you want to discuss what? And then what comes, if I'm really in that space, those people who want to talk, or those things that maybe are karmically meant for my meeting, seem to happen as a consequence.
Yeah. Well, I said it has its time and place. But if you're always on that, then you're not. You're looking for something. It's almost like a fulfillment.
Yeah.
Rather than being like present within yourself. So don't get me wrong. It's good for looking up stuff. It helps you out, and you find stuff that it has a purpose. But sometimes I think you feel also, depending how long you're spending on it, you're forgetting the purpose of self.
Right. That's right.
Because you're putting all your time and energy, and it is. You can lose so much time on it, and you're like, oh my God, where did that day go? Oh my God, where did that evening go?
I know. But that's why I'm enjoying what we're doing today, because I think these truths, these subject matters that we're talking about, are incredibly liberating for ourselves and for those people who are encountering it. It gives credence to follow your own energy, your own line, without having to put yourself into a financial plan in order to be able to do that. Which is for me, that's, I mean, it's a con. That's an absolute con. And I think to be able to sidestep that and to feel the liberation of your own life. And what's interesting is are people who believe they have a terminal condition, terminal diseases, how they say, well, I was thinking about planting a rose bush and it's just never got around to it, and they action that which they'd been putting off forever. I was going to write a book, and they action it, they start to do it, and it's the threat of the end of life, or I may not be around.
But if you treated each day like it's your last,
Exactly.
you would get maximum. I mean, at times I've said, kiss me like you're never going to kiss me again. So it's almost like your first kiss and your last kiss. But
Sure.
if you treat life like that,
Yes.
then you don't leave on bad feelings. You just embrace. Because none of us know. We could have this
No.
beautiful conversation on the way home. Something could happen.
That's right.
So it's about embracing and being present in all of it, and just enjoying it, because we might not get this moment again.
No.
So cherish it, because
Beautiful.
what we did in there is now our memory.
That's right.
We're as good as the
Yeah.
moment we're on,
Yeah.
and we're no better than the next one. The next one's just a gift if we get it.
You're so right. Mirjana, if you're watching this right now, Mirjana Ristic in Belgrade, you know, I'm just remembering the war. I just remember being in the middle of Belgrade, and it was horrible. But the people, wow. Everybody was helping everybody else. Everybody, it was the most spiritual awakening that I've never been in such a place before. I mean, forget about the Holy Land, you know, Israel and Palestine, all that. Serbia, in the middle of the war. And, you know, people were dying. There was a war that was raging all around us. Everybody was helping everybody else. Everybody was open. Brate, you know, brother, come, you know, eat with me. You know, let's drink something. You know, it was incredible. And then I came back to the West, which was like Hollywood, you know, because suddenly, you know, the supermarkets full of food. I'd never seen supermarkets full of food before. And everybody's ignoring everybody else. And it's really cold. And I've got to go online for my entertainment, or go to a club or a cinema, or, you know, so yes, I do talk about the war. And I think people who've been caught in war do, because what happens is when the threat of death or termination is close, people actually live.
Yeah.
They
Do you know, I
do.
can remember my stepdad, his mum, she always said the best time was the war. She
Right.
said when people say that was the worst time to be in, she goes, we had the time of our lives.
Yeah.
She
That's
goes, you
it.
didn't have much, but you made the most of everything. And it's true. I think when you have something illuminate, that's why when people have their most enlightening moments is when they've been through their darkest moments.
Yes, it's
Because
true.
that makes you appreciate.
Yeah.
It's a turning point, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. Tell me something. This very interesting conversation we're having now, and I'm thinking about the human evolution of and what is happening on the planet, because I definitely see that, and I know you do too, because we've discussed this. How do we, as a species, how do we propagate our appreciation of life every day? So we're living what we call our best life. How do we do that? Because I have my own techniques. I'm just kind of asking, throwing that question to you as a broader question. How do we do that and share that as a cultural or a way of being in the world, if you like, for children growing up now into this new time, us being in this new era now, and as it changes and evolves as we go forward? How does it? I'm interested in your thoughts about that.
So I think the younger, I can only go by, like I say, the little ones that are around me, on what they talk about. And like, my grandson's told me many a times, he's here to spread unconditional love. So and that's from 5.
Yeah.
So that's, to him, and he'll go out of his way to make sure that he wrongs the right, the right's the wrong.
Right.
So, like at school, if he sees somebody being bullied, he'll go up to the bully and say, you shouldn't do that, because that makes the other person feel like that. Or my daughter said of an incident where the teacher actually told her that this child had been struggling, and he finally got it, I don't know whether it was reading or something, and my grandson turned round, stopped what he was doing, and turned round, faced the child and went, I'm so proud of you. You've done so well. You've really struggled with that, and now you've done it.
Wow.
And the teacher was blown away by it. And she said, he's teaching them.
Amazing.
So I think that's just one that I know of. And he's not the only one.
Right.
The planet is flooded with them. So
Right,
they're
right.
coming in with that.
Yeah.
So as an older generation, I feel we can just nurture that within them.
Sure.
Because you think, when I look at where the world is at the moment, I just think things are changing, but it's going to take several generations to get to what I call a peace place.
Right.
We can see it,
Right.
but you think if the generation that's coming through now are coming through with that love. I mean, he says if he was Prime Minister, there wouldn't be any wars. He said, because there's nothing you can't solve through talking. So if that generation then
True.
comes up to stay with that kind of level, we won't have what we've got now.
That's right.
But what's in power and the way the world is now is the old thinking.
That's absolutely.
So that's flowing in. That's that
Yeah,
new energy flowing in.
That's right.
So they're teaching us.
No, for sure.
So for a teacher to say, he's teaching us.
Yeah.
So that ways are coming in. So we've just got to hope that things change and that doesn't get knocked out of them. I feel they're coming in so strong
I agree.
and with force.
Yeah.
That where it used to be, you would get one of them stand out. And
Right.
now you're probably getting the ones that aren't in that are standing out.
Yes.
See, where when like a kind of like our generation and stuff, when you came through enlightened,
Sure.
for me, I hid who I was for a long time because people
Like
didn't
us.
understand. Yeah, people don't understand you. You don't fit in.
Sure.
And it's like now when I work with children and teenagers, the encouragement I give them is to be you. You know, and they go, but I don't feel like I fit in. You're not meant to fit in because we're unique.
Right.
How can each individual uniqueness fit in? You're not meant to fit into a box.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
So I think going forward is to embrace that. Stop thinking and stop labelling. I mean, we've become a society that labels everything.
We have a name for everything.
Yeah, and you know, we grew up without those labels and we were fine. We don't need a label. To me, when they come through into this world, we are different, or we are ADHD, all those things.
Non-binary.
We're just.
That's a good one. It was like sexuality. It's like, who knows? You
But on other planets, we don't have sexes.
Oh, yes.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
So it's
matter.
irrelevant. You're a soul.
That's right.
It's irrelevant
That's
who you fall in love with. You know, it's your soul's journey.
Yes, that's it.
And it's to not break that habit of being put into a category. And, you know, embrace the fact you're sensitive.
Right.
It's beautiful. We need to be sensitive for the new
Yes.
vibration. Because, you know, being unsensitive hasn't worked.
Absolutely.
And we're smashing that now.
Absolutely. And this needs to categorize ourselves. It's so old world. It's so old planet. You know, and not to define yourself. You know, I don't know how to define you. I don't know how to define me. Neither do I have a desire of it anymore.
No, I couldn't put myself in. Yeah. When people say, what do you do? Who are you? And I was like, I don't actually know. I just know I'm present.
Yeah.
I know I work from my heart
Yeah.
space. And I just allow.
It's beautiful.
I don't need to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. When I work, my heart opens. And,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have told me you shouldn't open that way. But I don't open earthly. I open galactically.
Okay.
Why
Sure.
would we be that naive to think that we're the only ones here?
Oh,
Isn't that limiting your belief?
exactly.
So why? And we've come
Completely
We've
insane.
come from other places.
Of course.
So don't be blindsided that you think we've
Oh.
only ever been here and this is only one lifetime. To have the knowledge that we have, we've lived many times.
Yes.
On many places. So where the vibration of the planet's changing and more beautiful souls are coming in. Well, say more beautiful souls as we come in. We're not taking as long to come
No.
back as we used to
No,
before.
absolutely. It's very
because
fast.
we're yes,
Very fast.
because we're letting go of all of that baggage.
That's right. That's absolutely right. It's an extraordinary thing how we regulate ourselves and we give ourselves the history, and we don't acknowledge our own individual journey or the the idea. Looking at life, you say, well, you can kill the body, but you can't kill life. Life is inextinguishable. Otherwise, you know, you would be, life is beyond marketability. You can't market life. You can't trade life. You can trade anything else if you want. But the great con that's taken us for thousands of years on this planet has been that everything is limited and everything has to be fought for. And for me, that goes back as an anthropologist to where we went from matriarchal to patriarchal, where we had this grain technology. We found that we can, we make grain, we can grow grain, and we grind it, and we mix it with water and stuff like that, which again was alien influence, of course. But we could increase our numbers. Then there were the fields where we grew the grain, so we had to defend the fields. We said, well, we have to defend it, otherwise someone else would take our fields. So we got them property, and then you invented warrior king, and then we make war on the other village and take their fields, and the women became the prizes of war. So the goddess fell, God became a man, which is the most ridiculous thing. I mean, the biggest comedy of all. And then we got rape, pornography, we got all those things that come as a result. You just have to unwind it a little bit. And you don't have to be particularly intelligent to do this, to see where it starts from. And if you start to look at all the investment brokers and the banks and all of that stuff, and it's just bits of paper or a touch of a card on a machine, and suddenly you've got a number that comes up. None of this is real.
Which they then have control of you over. Because
Sure.
if you don't work the hours they want you to work,
Sure.
and you don't perform what they want you to,
Yep.
you don't have anything.
So we're in an open prison. Because we're terrified about freedom. Because freedom can't be controlled. So you say, well, I'm looking for a miracle. You are a miracle. We are miracles.